Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a perfect hexagon, thousands of miles wide, just swirling over the North Pole of Saturn, like a giant cosmic eye. It's this incredible anomaly, so persistent, so big, it's genuinely baffled scientists at JPL. That's NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, of course. But here's where it gets really interesting. Our deep dive today, it takes this wild image and suggests, well, maybe it's not just some random thing happening out there.
Exactly. That's what the sources we've been digging into are suggesting. This isn't just, a quirk on a gas giant
Yeah.
millions of miles away. We're going to explore some pretty fascinating, maybe even radical ideas that link this weird hexagon pattern on Saturn to things much, much closer to home. Things like Earth's own magnetic field weakening, those strange crop circle patterns, even ancient texts. And the thread tying it all together, it seems to be these recurring geometric shapes and, interestingly, specific numbers. So the mission for us today, really, is to see if these things that seem totally separate,
Hmm.
could they actually be connected? And, what would that mean for us here on Earth?
Okay, so let's start with Saturn then, that hexagon. Given how utterly bizarre it is, what did the Cassini spacecraft see that really made our sources, pause and think?
Well, Cassini gave us these incredible detailed views. It's this uh, perfectly formed hexagonal jet stream pattern. And it's persistent, right there at Saturn's rotational North Pole. And it's not just a rough shape either. The material we reviewed points out this distinct little border pattern around the edge.
Hmm.
And this scale, it's just mind-blowing, covering thousands of miles across the planet's pole.
Wow.
But what's really noteworthy, according to these sources, is that JPL's own reports, they just don't seem to mention Saturn's magnetic North Pole, or
Good.
like how it might be influencing this structure.
Huh. That's interesting. You'd think, I mean, for a structure that stable, that huge, a magnetic field would be part of the conversation, right?
Exactly.
So why do our sources find that omission so, well, so significant?
Well, crucially, the point they make is that a strong magnetic field, like the one Earth has, usually acts as this sort of invisible scaffolding. It organizes and holds powerful jet streams like this in place. So they find it genuinely bizarre that NASA doesn't seem to even consider this for Saturn's hexagon, especially when you consider this incredibly precise hexagon. Well, you could also see it as a three-dimensional cube viewed from a certain angle.
A cube. Okay.
Yeah, so it raises this big question, why leave out the magnetic field discussion? And what's the deeper meaning of this specific geometry showing up so clearly?
Right. This cosmic puzzle on Saturn, then, it really leads to the question, what does it mean for us down here on Earth? And that's where our sources go next, isn't it? To our own planet's weakening defenses.
Precisely. The material brings up this pretty significant claim. Earth's own magnetosphere, that protective magnetic bubble around us and the magnetic poles themselves, they've weakened by roughly 25% compared to where they were, say, 40 or 50 years ago.
25%. That sounds like a lot.
It is. And they say you can actually see the effects on our jet streams right now. Apparently, they're not even in the positions they should be. Instead of those distinct 30 and 60-degree bands we usually see in both hemispheres, they're getting all intermingled.
Okay, that does sound concerning. If our planet's main shield is getting weaker, what are the potential consequences, according to these sources anyway? And what about this whole pole reversal idea? What's the timescale on that?
Well, connecting the dots, a weaker magnetosphere means more cosmic rays getting through. And these rays are carcinogenic, cancer-causing. That's the direct quote. The research suggests that, talk is slowly starting to emerge about how significant this weakening is, and the warning is that it is going to get worse.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the pole reversal. It's a rare event, right? Hasn't happened in about 780,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
But our sources suggest this current cycle is taking an unusually long time. They float the possibility it might be another 500,000 years until a full reversal.
You have 500,000 years.
Yeah, which would mean a much, much longer period of reduced protection, a time of potentially no protection at all for life on the surface during the flip itself. And the concern voiced in the material is that official estimates putting it maybe 1,000 years off. They argue that's nowhere near the reality. They point to signs like the magnetic North Pole speeding up its movement, deviating way off its path from the last century. Things seem to be accelerating. Okay, so we have these powerful geometric patterns way out on Saturn, and maybe reflections of that instability here in Earth's jet streams and magnetic field. But then our sources take this idea of recurring geometry and make a really, let's say, unexpected jump to crop circles. Now, I know what some listeners might be thinking, whoa, hang on, crop circles. How do the sources handle the skepticism around these and still connect them to something so, well, cosmic? Yeah, it's definitely a big leap, no question. But what they focus on is this striking geometric similarity. Apparently, many crop circles also feature that hexagon pattern, and sometimes they're even interpreted as representing, again, a three-dimensional cube.
The cube again. Okay.
Right. And then they dig into the numbers, the history. They claim many of these crop circle geometries revolve around divisions of 144. Like you see patterns based on 36 times 4 or 72 times 2. Some apparently even contain exactly 144 triangles.
144. Why that number?
Well, this is where they make another incredible connection.
Mm.
They tie this number and the geometry to ancient patterns, specifically the flower of life. You know that intricate pattern of overlapping circles? You find it carved in places like the Temple of Osiris in Egypt. And if you analyze that ancient pattern, guess what? It also features 144 border triangles.
Oh, okay. That's quite a link.
It is. The suggestion from the sources is that whoever made these patterns, whether the ancient Egyptians carving the flower of life or whoever or whatever is making complex crop circles, they understood the significance of this specific geometry and this number, a 144.
Okay. So let's try and pull all these threads together then. We've got this really strange, perfect hexagon on Saturn. We've got the very real weakening of Earth's magnetic field. Then we have the precise, sometimes hexagonal or cubic geometry appearing in crop circles, often linked to this number 144, and that same number in geometry echoed in ancient patterns like the flower of life. So the big question the sources pose is this all just a coincidence? Is it possible these things appearing in such different places across such vast scales of time and space are actually connected?
Well, that's the provocative possibility they put forward. Could this recurring geometry, the hexagon, the cube, the number 144, be more than coincidence? Could it be some kind of warning sign, perhaps even a message linked to major planetary events like magnetic pole shifts? The material definitely encourages keeping an open mind. An open mind to the idea that maybe, just maybe, we could be being told by something or somebody through these consistent symbols. Symbols perhaps left or appearing now for a time when we could figure out what the relevance of that was.
It makes you wonder then, why this specific geometry? Why the hexagon, the cube, the 144? And why would it be relevant now, just as our own planet's magnetic shield seems to be, acting up?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
So we've journeyed from this baffling hexagon swirling on Saturn to the potential vulnerabilities of our own planet's magnetic field, and then into the surprising geometry of crop circles and ancient symbols, all connected, according to our sources, by these recurring patterns and numbers. It certainly makes you look at the cosmos and maybe even patterns here on Earth a little differently. It highlights this potential, almost hidden interconnectedness.
Absolutely. And it leaves you with a pretty profound thought. Based on what we've explored today, if these patterns are some kind of communication, if this geometry is a signature echoing through time and space, what deeper knowledge or perhaps what warning might it be trying to convey about our planet's future? And maybe more importantly, how might you personally start to look for those connections or explore that idea for yourself?